Good evening, race fans. Ken Rodriguez with the NAGP Thursday night GT1 Championship coming to you live from Canadian Tire Mosport Park. And before we go any further, well, I do not have anybody to introduce you to tonight. I am going at it solo. Yes, I am going at it solo. Why? Because my good buddy and co-host, Mr. Jack Ivy, is actually racing tonight. Yes, he is behind the wheel of one of those Pagani Zonda cars and actually doing quite well. So here we are. It's a beautiful day in Mosport, and we're expecting some great things. Practice has come to an end. They are now out there in qualifying. And boy, I gotta tell you that some of these guys were laying down some really hot laps. I've never seen anything like it. 109.9 by Alex White. John Ludden with a 110 flat or near it. Boy, I tell you, these guys are blazing around this track, and this is no chump track either. This is one that is very hard. This is a track that is very hard to conquer. It's got that notorious moss corner where a lot of folks find the grass and even the tire barrier. So we'll take it to the track map here to take a look at what we're looking at. It's a total of 10 corners, but not to be taken lightly. There are elevation changes here that are ridiculous. And like I said, 5 and 6 turn complex, Moss Corner, will catch you out there each and every time. If you're not careful while driving through that section of track, boy, I tell you, it'll just totally catch you out there. So I know that these guys are going to have to be extra careful through Moss Corner tonight. These GT1 cars, 600 horsepower, capable of some serious power through those corners, also capable of sliding quite aggressively through those corners. So we're going to take it back to the qualifying session. And we're on board with Alex White. Alex White, I don't think, is subbing for anybody tonight. I believe that he just wants to drive this race tonight. Got himself in that Lamborghini Diablo and is laying down some seriously hot laps. Boy, I tell you, something ridiculous. So Alex White with a new fast lap on the track of 110.7. We will say that track temperature tonight, 93 degrees, ambient of 79. Conditions are sunny and the forecast is sunny. So I'll tell you what, if these conditions persist, you're going to see some really smoking laps being laid down here tonight. P2 early on, Andrew Werner driving the Ford GT. Teammates to David Poole, 05 Motorsport GT1. Here's another guy that was fast in qualifying too. John Ludden was laying down some low 110s driving that McLaren F1 car. Mike Trussler currently tentatively in P4. Aaron Parsons, now I believe that Aaron Parsons might be carrying some hefty weight around here tonight. We're going to go ahead and take a look at what the weight is. So Andres Prado carrying 44 pounds. David Poole with 132. Well, it looks like Parsons actually shed. Oh, no, there he is. 110 pounds for Parsons. Thomas Schubeck with 44 and Marty Uren with 22. Gregory Myers carrying 66 pounds of ballast. So some of these drivers tonight are going to have their work cut out for them, especially those with the weight. This is a high-speed track. Elevation changes, sweeping corners. On board with the boss Al Merriman as he exits the pit, driving the Panos GT1 car. David Poole on an outlap, takes it a bit wide into the grass. Jared Keane also on an outlap. So Sam Rolfe on a hot lap now. About 0.4 of a second over the time of pole. Thank you for that. Just had to turn on the audio for the race session. Thank you so much. Gregory Myers on a hot lap. Now Greg's subbing for one of the Aston drivers tonight. Johnny McIntyre out on his hot lap right now, trying to lay a smoker down. It's going to be a little bit hard. 95 degrees, so the temperature's jumped up 2 degrees. So has the track temperature. The ambient temperature's also jumped up about 2 degrees as well. About 1.1 second over the time of pole right now. So let's cycle through to your leader, Alex White, currently in provisional pole with a 109.966, and that's about the same time we saw him lay down late in practice. Mike Trussler with a 110.5, Matt Taylor 110.6. So as you can see, these guys here up here in the 110s cutting it kind of close, less than a second separating 2 to 7. The boss Al Merriman laying down a smoker now himself. Boy, jumps up to P6. Alex White on an out lap right now. He's going through the far end of the field. Should be coming through the start-finish line. Yep, just after here. We'll jump on board with your race leader, see if he can improve on his already ridiculously fast time of 109.966. Coming up on some slower traffic. Flashes the light saying, let me by, I'm on an out lap, and it looks like he takes it just a little bit wide in that corner. Might hurt his time some. Oh! 1/1000th of a second off the pace of pole as he comes into the Moss corner right now. This is make it or break it here. And gets the lights to go by from Kreshnik, I believe it is. Well, Alex White just flying through this track circuit. Trying to lay down a fast sector 3 as he comes across the line. Oh, just 2/1000ths of a second off of his pace. All right, he's going to give it another go. So Mike Trussler now with a 110.5. Matt Taylor moving up to P3 and Ryan Schleif down to 4. But Andrew Werner laying down a bit of a smoker there with a 110.7. Here he's coming into that blind elevated corner of Moss. Moss corner is just, it's wicked and treacherous, boy. I gotta tell you, if you don't take that corner right, you don't take it just right, you're gonna end up in the grass. You're gonna end up mowing grass, or you're gonna find the tire barrier. About a half a second over the pace of pole. Seven-tenths off of pole for Andrew Werner. No improvement, stays in P5. Now Al Merriman, the boss man here at NAGP. This is the man that makes it all happen, of course with the help of the members, but he is the boss, he is the owner of NAGP, and gives us a great place to race. So Al on a hot lap right now. Coming up to the first sector split here. Just about a second off the pole pace. with an opportunity to make up a little bit of time here in the last sector of the track, which is always very difficult. But boy, he is on the power as he comes across that start-finish line with a 109.946, is it? Nope. Let's go back. Al Merriman down as it with 110.937. That is his fastest lap in this qualifying session here. Mike Graytrix, who had internet ISP problems earlier, had actually gotten on the session using his mobile phone, using phone as modem, and for a while was trying to get some practice laps in online, and it wasn't going too well, but it looks like hopefully he got his ISP issue sorted out. His internet was down, but it doesn't look like it's down now because he's out there laying down some smoker laps. He's improved himself up to P8 right now. Rich Roman driving the Aston Martin in P9 currently. About 8/10 off the pole pace right now. And Rich Roman improves to P7. Pushes Al down to P8, Mike Graytrix to 9. Samaroff currently sitting in 10th. Sam's time 1:11 flat. And Aaron Parsons now on a hot lap through Moss Corner. Alex White ahead, off the pace, off the track. Parsons is going to blow by him. Coming up to the sector split at this time. Almost a second off the pole pace for Aaron Parsons right now as he goes into the final sector of the track. And Aaron Parsons up to 8, so there's some improvement there. On board with Connor Swain, driving the Ferrari F40, one of the older staple cars we have here in our pack. That little bobble for Connor is going to cost him some time. John Wathen running up in 14th right now. 111.204. So at the top, Alex White 109.9 has not improved that time, but Mike Trussler with a 110.5. Andres Prado improves to 3rd with a 110.550. Matt Taylor in 4th. Ryan Schleif in 5th. Andrew Werner with a 110.69. Rich Roman, Aaron Parsons improving. Al Merriman, Mike Graytrix up in 10th. Jonathan Cuppett driving the Corvette C6R, one of my faves. On an outlap's about to start his hot lap right now. Has got some traffic up ahead. Hopefully it's not an impediment. It's kind of hard on such a I mean, Mosport's not a short track by any means, but it's certainly not the longest that we run here at NAGP GT1, so it's hard to establish a gap. You got about 26 guys out there on the track at any given time trying to lay down a smoker, trying to lay down a hot lap to improve on their time. So Jonathan Cuppett, who has in GT2 been tearing up the tracks, driving the Dodge Viper competition coupe, currently running in 13th here in GT1. And he gets the lights. Looks like the Viper's going to let him through. As he comes up to the sector split here. And he's about 1.1 seconds off the pole pace right now. Currently running in 13th. If he keeps it up and gets a fast last sector here, he might improve from 13th. We'll have to take a look as he comes across the start-finish line now. No No improvement for Jonathan Cuppet. So with a little under 10 minutes left to go in qualifying, Alex White still out there driving the Lamborghini Diablo, trying to improve on his time. I guess Alex is just out there trying to lay it down as best he can, and he does improve his time from earlier. He was at a 109.9, has dropped it down to a 109.599, and now Andres Prado is nipping at his heels. Andres takes it into the pits, but Aaron Parsons up to P3 now, 110.4. See if there's gonna take it off the track. Mike Trussler, who is quite speedy in practice, is being relegated right now to 4th. He's hoping to get a better lap in for qualifying right now as he comes up to the first sector split. And about almost 7/10 off the pace of pole, off the pole pace right now. And again, Moss Corner, boy, I got to tell you, I can't harp on this enough tonight, guys. If you've not driven this track and you've not experienced Moss Corner, boy, it is something to behold. Very difficult track to maneuver if you don't know what you're doing. On board with Chris Moses now. Chris Moses currently running P8, looking to improve his time. About 8/10 off the pole pace right now. So he's going to bring it into the 3rd sector. It's not enough. I don't think he's got enough to push his time that much further up, but let's see here. No improvement for Chris. Rich Roman, who is seeing some improvement in his qualifying times, now up to P9. Rich he's currently on an out lap. We're looking for those hot lap folks. Connor Swain still on another hot lap, trying to make the best of this qualifying session with about 7.5 minutes left to go. This has got to help him some if he can keep it clean. He's getting some draft off of that Ferrari F40. Takes it to the outside. We're going to have to see how this plays out. A bit of a slide for Connor there. No, unfortunately, no improvement. On board with Sam Rolfe, P13 right now, trying to improve. Let's see what Sam Rolfe can come across with. No improvement for Sam. About 2.3 seconds off the pole pace right now. David Poole, not surprisingly, sitting back in P16. He is carrying a significant amount of weight here tonight in that Ford GT. Jared Keane currently running in P19. Johnny Lugnuts driving the Corvette C5R tonight. Oh, slow it down there, Johnny. Greg Myers driving the Aston. John Houston in his famed Viper. Sergio Calderon running in P23 right now. No improvement for Sergio. Gup Douglas, 24th. Johnny McIntyre in 25th. Marty Uren in 26th. Bjorn Heyman currently sitting 27. Hey, I'm sitting 28th, but I'm not running tonight, folks. So your leader in the pits, Andres Prado, P2. He's on an out lap. Looks like Aaron Parsons coming out the pits and Trussler coming out the pits.
Rodriguez, are you out there?
Hey, Jack, how are you?
I'm good. Are we live, Kenny?
We are live, buddy. We are live.
Boy, oh boy, those guys are fast out there tonight.
Man, you know, I got to tell you, Jack, you told me that you was able to put down 111s, and you sure did, but seems like some of the faster guys want to just continue to improve on their times. I was just talking about how Alex White improved his 109.9 to a 109.5.
incredible times. I mean, and this is such a fast track too, Ken. You can watch for all sorts of action. That turn 2 is going to be a race ender. Along down at Moss Corner is going to be just treacherous tonight. But I thought I'd just pop up and say hello to everybody. And hey, it's going to be fun tonight. So I'll probably join you if I do crash out, Ken.
Not a problem. I figured as much, but you know what? We're not wishing that. We want you to finish the race, and we want you to finish in the top 10, Jack. We have sent a lot of luck your way, and we're rooting for you.
Well, thanks, Ken. This is my home track of Bowmanville, so I'm looking forward to it. And if I get a chance, I'll pop back up.
Yep, sounds good, Jack. Lots of luck out there to you.
Thanks, and thanks for everybody who watches us on Thursday night. And my heart goes out to you, Ken. I'm leaving you all alone tonight.
Oh, it's all right. I've got lots to talk about. Take care.
Attaboy.
So there you have it, folks. Jack Ivy popping up into the broadcast booth on our channel to just say hello to everybody. You know, he's still a broadcaster at heart, even though he loves to race, and this is his home track. And it is located in Bowmanville, Canada. So there you have it. Alex White out on another hot lap, trying to improve on his times. Gonna be, oh, and he is 21/100ths of a second up on his best time right now. So Alex White looking to put down another smoker. He looks like he just bobbled there a little bit. I'm not sure, but we'll have to see. Alex White, Andres Prado. Alex White just putting on a qualifying clinic here tonight, as he comes up to the second sector split, and he loses time. So yeah, it looked as he was going through that Moss corner, looked like he did lose some time with a bobble. Don't think he's going to have enough to make up the time here and set a new pole record. And perhaps I could be wrong with a 109.562. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. As Jack says, these guys can drive shopping carts around these tracks. So Aaron Parsons up in third right now on an out lap. Ryan Schleif on a hot lap, trying ever so hard to improve. We'll stick with him here. 28.428 is the Sector 1 pole time. That is the time to beat in Sector 1. Oh, and Schleif with a bit of a slide. That's going to hurt his times for sure. About a half a second. He's just parking it. About a half a second off the pole pace. Mike Trussler, P5, getting some pull off the Aston Martin. Takes it to the outside. Coming into Moss. Nope, not coming into Moss. My apologies. He is actually coming off the last turn. Turn 10 right now for the start finish. Takes it wide. And he improves one position to P4. Boy, without that slide, what could have been. Ryan Schleif going back out. Matt Taylor out on a hot lap right now, as he comes around the last corner for the start finish, looking to improve. No improvement for Matt Taylor. Will stay in P7. Chris Moses up in P8. About 1 minute 20 seconds left of qualifying time. Moses about 1.3 seconds off the pole pace. Roman 9th. Al Merriman in 10th. Jared Keane 11th. Connor Swain going wide and finding the tire barrier on the far side of the track. Mike Graytrix in the pits in 13th. Sam Rawl 14th. Jonathan Cuppett sitting in 15th right now, and Poole in 16th. John Wathen in 17th. Greg Myers still out there in the Aston Martin trying to improve on his times. About 30 seconds remaining. And it looks like he gets it up to P16. Sergio Calderon still trying to find his way around Mosport. Having a little bit of a difficult time sitting in P23. don't think that Alex White is going to have enough time, or maybe he does. That is the end of the qualifying session, so these boys have about 60 seconds to get her in, if they're going to get them in at all. So Alex White on a hot lap. Who else do we have? Ryan Schleif on a hot lap, about 7/10 off the pole pace, looking to improve on his P6. Here he comes around turn 10. No improvement for Schleif. Looks like everybody else came in, and the only one out there still, it looks like, is, oh no, everybody's in, it looks like. So that is going to bring the qualifying session to a close. Ryan Schleif still out there, is not going to get it in. So we switch over to qualifying 2, and we're going to take this opportunity now as these boys start to rejoin. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the standings for GT1 after last week's round at the A1 ring. On the driver championship, you've got Aaron Parsons sitting up top with 126 points. David Poole in second with 99. Ian Jolicoeur in third with 90. Poole with 99 and Jolicoeur with 91.
Ken Rodriguez, this is Brad Mears. You copy?
Hey, Brad, good to hear you. How are you?
Yeah, good to hear you too, Ken. Thank you so much for broadcasting tonight. I know that you are short a partner, and if you wanted an extra set of eyeballs, Ken, I'd be happy to help you out. If not, that's okay too.
No, actually, that'd be great, Brad. We'd love to have you up here in the broadcast booth.
Well, I'd love to hang out because I'm actually particularly interested in checking this race out, Ken. I think it has a lot of interesting things going on. And not only the action on track, but also quite an interesting points battle, too, between these GT1 drivers. So I was really interested in checking this one out tonight.
Yeah, you know, I was just going over the points right now on an individual driver basis. Was just talking how Aaron Parsons has a bit of a lead over second place David Poole with 126 to 99, but those things can change in a quick hurry should any one of these drivers drop out.
Yeah, you know, David really is not in a terribly strong position, it has to be said, with the amount of weight that he's carrying. And I sure am surprised at the qualifying effort he put on, even with that weight. I would think that the Ford would be pretty good here despite that. However, David Poole is just so good and has such great consistency. He's got a great shot for moving forward in this field, and he's really going to need to if he wants to keep his championship hopes alive, I think.
Yeah, you're not kidding. 132 pounds in an already heavy car. That GT1 is carrying around quite a bit of weight.
Yeah, sure thing.
So,
of course, it's...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to... Go ahead. I was going to move over to the team championship, but I'm interested in hearing what you had to say.
Actually, that's what I was going to mention, Ken.
Yeah, how about that team championship, huh? Look at the points. 135, T broke Dam Bam. PMR with 133, and Amcan Racing with 125 sitting in third. This has got to be, I got to say, the closest battle I've seen in GT1 team championship.
You know, it's very interesting. T-Brock Dam Bam also very strong in the GT2 championship. Different teammates here. One of them remains the same, of course, Aaron Parsons. They both have had some bad luck in the races prior to their current results here in the point standing. So is T-Brock Dam Bam not collecting any points last week at the A1 ring after a very intense and sloppy race there in the wet. So it was a disconnect for Aaron Parsons and teammate Sergio Calderon. Failed to come up with any points, so this points race has become very close with Precision Motor Racing. So Big Al Merrimon, as you say, and of course Chris Moses fighting there in that Panos Esperante with NCAM Racing right behind as well. So very close team battle, and this race is going to count quite a bit toward the overall team classification by the end of the season.
Yep, I have to agree. I mean, PMR Racing with a huge jump in points after having suffered the previous two races collectively between Spa and Enna. They only collected 8 points, but A1 Ring together 36 points has put them within 2 points shy of a tie for the lead.
Yeah, it was a heck of a race they put in at A1 Ring, and I have to say also, I think it came a little bit out of nowhere. I think possibly the weather helped them out a little bit. They made some great tire choices in the changing conditions to really vault themselves up in the order. But frankly, both the guys, well, Chris Moses was actually languishing a little bit in that race, but just some perfect strategy calls on their part really moved them up the order. So there they are. Now, I think we have to make honorable mention, too, to Panzer Faust Racing, Rich Roman, and, of course, Thomas Schubeck. Now, those guys are not too far out of those points, really. And if they can get both drivers scoring solid points tonight, they're going to be right in the thick of this thing as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is shaping up to be one heck of a race for the team championship, and boy, I couldn't be more excited about it. I'd love to see it go down to the final race, absolutely, because that's where you get that's where these drivers tend to wear their hearts on their sleeve when it comes out there on the track. They'll just lay it all out.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So that's always kind of the balance you try to strike there, Ken, when the pressure's really on, to, boy, how much do we push here? How aggressive do we get with the setup to try to gain an advantage, yet at the same time make sure we don't do anything stupid, more or less,
Absolutely, and you know what? Then we also have to take into account at times there's that great equalizer, the wet track. So, still some things that could happen here towards the end of this season, there, Brad.
Sure, and fortunately, we still have a couple of races yet to go. So this GT1 season was delayed a week, as you might remember. There toward the start of the season, we had some troubles and had to put off one of our first events for a week. So yeah, we get plenty more action coming, and so grateful to you, Ken, for bringing it to us week after week, so we can keep abreast of all the close points.
Oh, absolutely. It's been my pleasure. No, this is, as we say week after week here, this is probably one of the most, this is one of the premier leagues on the internet. We still do run GTR2, but you know what? The cars are virtual, but the competition is very real. And these guys feel just as much adrenaline as any real car driver out there. So that's what makes this place such a great place to be.
Yeah, I'd say you're absolutely right. Now, this track in particular tonight, this is going to be an interesting test for these guys, I think. We have not run Mosport here in this GT1 class before, and it's an interesting track. It has some of those wide sweeping sections. It's a small track with kind of a big track feel, and of course we have that Moss corner, a blind kind of double right-hand corner, very tricky, and the start in particular is going to be tough around here. But I think just traffic in general and trying to gain an advantage on your closest rival in front to try to get by that driver is going to be very difficult here tonight.
Absolutely, yeah. We just brought the track map up as you were discussing that. So I had Jack pop up in here a little bit earlier, just a couple minutes before you did, and he was talking about turn 2 on the start. He felt that turn 1 might not be such a big issue, but that turn 2 and then turn 3, Quebec corner, he says that some of the guys are going to have to watch themselves out there.
Yeah, so those are corners that some of these guys will definitely be too wide going through those corners, and definitely want to make sure you give a little bit of room and not take too much room, because the smallest mistake going side by side, and these drivers can quickly find themselves off track. And the Armcos are not so far away. It is possible to get into the barriers and come away with a damaged race car.
Oh, absolutely. And then, take into account the elevation changes around this track. But just watching some of these guys come into that pit entrance, that's going to be, I think, a point of contention for some drivers here tonight, especially those that are under heavy pressure and suffering from a rush of adrenaline.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is a tricky pit entry, and it's not so difficult if you've got someone on you, but just trying to enter with speed. You're absolutely right, Ken. It can definitely catch you out and add some damage to that pit stop repair. You bet.
Yep. Not that we're wishing it, but it certainly can. So warm up has just wound down here, so we're going to be getting ready to start the race in about a minute or so. And I don't know. What do you think? Any predictions for tonight, Brad?
Well, it looks like Alex White is sure going to be tough to beat. Now, that Lamborghini Diablo that he's in can suffer from some pretty serious tire degradation, and the setup can become a bit wonky there when the tires do begin to wear. So we'll have to watch Alex White and see if he's running kind of an aggressive setup to turn some very fast time. So Alex White not a regular here in the GT1 class, so I think he's going for some personal glory and looking for that win tonight. But if he does push over the line, this track could catch him out very quick.
Yep, have to agree. I thought it a bit surprising when I saw him show up in that Lamborghini Diablo, for sure. So nobody's been driving that car this season. So, like you said, personal glory. So we are switched over to race. We're going to go ahead and start running them down. Taking the pole, Alex White, P2 Andres Preto, Andrew Warner in third, Aaron Parsons fourth, and Mike Trussler will start in fifth.
Ryan Schleif starts sixth. Matt Taylor will take seventh. Chris Moses came up to eighth. Rich Roman right behind in ninth, and Al Merrimon in 10th.
Jared Keane in 11th, Connor Swain in 12th. Mike Graytrix with one of his best starts in 13th this season. Sam Rolfe in 14th, Jonathan Cuppett in 15th.
Gregory Myers takes 16th. David Poole is in 17th. John Wathen in 18th. Thomas Schubeck in 19th. And Jack Ivey in 20th.
John Houston will start 21st. Johnny Lugnuts in 22nd. Sergio Calderon in 23rd. Gup Douglas in 24th. And John McIntyre in 25th.
Yep, Marty Wren will take 26th, back there due to a penalty. Bjorn Hemmen will take 27th, and John Luden will round out the field in 28th.
I think John Luden may have had a disconnect, no?
Yeah, I think that's right, Ken. In fact, sitting in the lobby, I did see John Luden there in the lobby waiting to rejoin the server. So unfortunately, John Luden will be back there, and we know that he can turn some very nice times here, Ken. We saw that in practice. He is going to be looking to make a charge through the field, eh?
I wouldn't doubt it at all. It's a little bit of a tight grid here, not so much, but it's quite tight. Looking from Alex White on back, and for John Luden to make that type of an advancement, just got to keep it clean. You know, we got 90 minutes of racing, so no rush to try and catch up on the first lap.
Yeah, and I tell you real quickly, Ken, attrition will play a role around here as well. We'll have to watch it.
That we will, as the lights are starting to come on, and as they go off, they will take off Alex White with the whole shot. But Andres Preto right behind him. Oh, we have one of the pay noses off. Looks like Chris Moses takes it a little wide, going through the second corner. Up front, Alex White, Andres Preto all over Alex White. Oh, and looks like they came together. Jack Ivey back to 28th right now.
Yeah, Ken, unfortunately, it looked like he did have a single spin kind of on his own, actually. Flipped through a few cars, it spun through a couple cars. Fortunately, not to have any contact there, so Jack Ivey off track, but now back on and motoring on through.
Yep, up front, your leader Alex White already starting to show his dominance here at Mosport by establishing a little bit of a lead over Andres Prado. But Andres Prado now battling with Andrew Werner and Aaron Parsons.
Yeah, just looking through the field here, Ken, I saw that Thomas Schubeck actually has slipped back to the 25th position, so I'm not sure what happened there, but that is certainly down from his qualifying spot.
Indeed it is. So mid-pack, right? Mid-pack, just taking a look a little further down from the leaders. Mid-pack, they're tightly knit there, Brad.
Yeah, and it's going to remain that way for the majority of this race, Ken. Now, there may be some guys that go off, some gaps that open up, but they're likely to close back down. Very easy to make mistakes around here, so pit stops are going to be all critical around here tonight, I think, too.
Oh, John McIntyre gets pushed off into the barrier by Thomas Schubeck. Does not look like he's going to recover from that one. Let's take a look here. Thomas Schubeck giving him the door and took him all the way off track.
Boy, that's really unfortunate. And, you know, both drivers are very clean, so I'm sure that is a... Don't know what happened there, Ken, but that's very uncommon for those two guys to have contact.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like might have just slid a little bit wide there, Brad, and just caught him out at the corner.
Well, Ken, like I say, if you never, ever, ever take a penalty, then you just aren't trying hard enough.
Hey, no, I've never had a penalty, but then again, I don't know if it's for lack of trying or just being too nice. So Alex White opens up the lead to about 2.3 seconds over Andres Prado right now. Andrew Werner behind him about another second. So looks like the front runners starting to space themselves out just a wee bit there, Brad.
Yeah, just a little bit, and I'm watching Mike Greetrex come off the last corner here. Very loose in that Saline S7-R, so Mike Greetrex perhaps already getting those rears a little worn, but some great battles all throughout the course yet, Kip.
Oh, Al Merriman, Sam Rolfe, both, Al Merriman with a DNF, Sam Rolfe with a suspension, and he's out of the race.
Oh, well, that's not good for PMR.
No,
Oh,
not at all.
what happened there, but that is unfortunate. Yeah, big news there in that team classification. So the hopes are going to be pinned here on Chris Moses. Currently 6th here at Mosport, but it's very early in this running yet.
Well, oddly enough, he is running down Mr. Aaron Parsons, whose team is in that first position for the team championship. It's going to be interesting to see how this one shapes up.
Yeah, speaking of shaping up, we've got one heck of a battle shaping up here at the moment. So in 18th, we have Marty Urin, who's just gotten past John Luden, but they're fighting tooth and nail now, coming through the second to last corner. And actually, John Luden has gone off and into the wall.
Oh, we caught that on. Yeah, we just caught that as they went side by side. Looks like they touched slightly, and that's all you need around Mosport to take it off the track.
Boy, it sure is. And John Luden now with very heavy damage. Marty Urin will continue now. He continues his fight with Bjorn Heyman and Johnny Lugnut's just ahead. So still intense battles going on for some of the positions farther back.
Yep, Urin driving aggressively. A little bit of an aggressive maneuver there, but trying to make it stick. And he's got pace on some of these other drivers ahead of him. So he's just trying to thread his way through, I'm pretty sure, as delicately as he can.
Yeah, taking a look through timing and scoring now, I'm seeing John Wathen actually has put himself inside the top 10. So a nice run early here for John Wathen. I know that he likes this place too.
Yeah, we actually have quite a few folks that this is home track to, Jack Ivey being one. I believe Ian Jolicoeur and Mike Greatrix. This is also their home track, so quite interesting to see how they end up doing. Mike Greatrix currently running in 12th. A little bit of a battle going on with P11 Gregory Myers.
Boy, there's very few drivers out there at the moment, Ken, that are not involved in a direct fight including our friend Jack Ivey, who unfortunately has put it back into the Armco again. Now, he was just involved in a fight with Mike Trussler.
Oh, Jack Ivey with another off. Yep, I see it. And he's in the kitty litter. He is going to go ahead and park it.
Oh, boy. Oh, that is a shame.
So Mike Trussler gets a little bit of a reprieve there. He's chugging along in P24. Heavy damage to the right front of that car.
Boy, fights all over the place, Kim, but I have to mention one of them now. That fight with John Wathen that just previously mentioned now has become about a 8-way fight here for that 10th spot. As these drivers are all trying to gain advantage, the smallest of advantage to try to gain that position.
Oh, you're not kidding. Connor Swain right ahead of them in P9. Boy, if he's looking at his rearview mirrors, I can't fathom to think what he might be thinking, but it's Swain, Wathen, Myers, Great Tricks, David Poole, and not too far behind them, Jonathan Cuphead. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, I tell you, Ken, these drivers are really going to have to stay on their toes and really try to drive within themselves, as these battles will continue for the majority of this race, as mentioned. So, again, those pit stops are going to be very important to try to gain the advantage in the pits if you can't quite do it out there on track.
Yep, absolutely. Just on board with Connor Swain, looking back at this little bit of a freight train that's starting to form here as they just went through Moss Corner. And surprisingly, they all made it through without incident.
Yeah, just a little further back is Bjorn Hemmen, who is involved in quite a battle himself. Now, he has spun at Moss Corner, so that will put Bjorn back a little bit.
Yep, gives the position over to Sergio Calderon, running P21. Just going back to the timing and scoring board. Alex White holding a steady lead over Andres. Andres about 2.6 seconds back, not letting Alex White get too far ahead of him.
Yeah, taking a look at those lap times. Lap times are actually pretty even between the two of them here for the moment.
Yep, some 111s, 112 for Alex, but Andre steady 111s all the way down.
Now, I'm wondering if Jack has joined us. Jack mentioned he might jump into the broadcast here if he ran afoul of some trouble. It was very unfortunate to see him have that trouble.
Yeah, that it was. I think Jack called it a night and probably headed home. I do not see him in Ventrilo. So, yeah, it looks like he went home for the night.
Oh, that's too bad.
So we have Alex Scott joined us in the chat. Says Mike Trussler qualied 5th. Wow, yeah, he sure did. He was laying down some smokers. Interesting battle starting to form here for P4, Brad. Ryan Schleif, Aaron Parsons, Chris Moses, Matt Taylor, and Rich Roman all kind of just freight training it around the track right now as they go through Moss.
Oh, don't switch off that battle, Kim, but it looks like Andres Prieto has run into some trouble here. Andres Prieto made some type of mistake, allowed Andrew Werner through, so it is now Andrew Werner to 2nd, Andres Prieto to 3rd.
Yeah, we see that, and now Schleif putting a little bit of a gap between himself and Aaron, now trying to hone his crosshairs in on Andres Prieto. So, you know, I'm pretty sure after seeing that, he's smelling some blood like a shark in the waters.
Yeah, certainly.
But great battle here. Chris Moses trying to hold it down for PMR Racing here tonight. Currently running in 6th, being hounded by Matt Taylor.
Yeah, and as Chris Moses does continue his quest here for that 5th spot over Aaron Parsons, he is carrying around a little bit of weight ballast for that 2nd place finish at A1 ring. However, it should be noted Aaron Parsons in front is carrying even more, so it's 50 kilograms for Aaron and 30 for Chris Moses. Oh.
Matt Taylor takes it off. Sorry about that, Brad.
No, I saw the same thing, so that Moss corner continuing to play some havoc.
That it is. So Matt Taylor taking it off and handing P7 over to Rich Roman. Rich Roman now going to set his sights on Chris Moses.
Yeah, it is Rich Roman now in that spot, and I tell you, I was looking for his teammate, Thomas Schubeck. Looks like Thomas Schubeck is there in 21st, so not a lot of points at the moment on offer for Panzer Faust Racing, so Thomas Schubeck will be looking to pick up some spot.
Absolutely. So I was just on board on the bumper cam on the bonnet cam with Ryan Schleif as he had closed the gap to Andres Preto to within a hair width, but has started to let Andres Preto get away.
Boy, taking a look through timing and scoring yet again, it is still David Poole there now running 13th, continuing to pick up spots here and there. I'd say very carefully going about his way and trying to preserve whatever points he can out of this Mosport event with all that weight that he's carrying on that Ford.
And the battle in the midfield right now continues on for P9. Connor Swain, John Wathen, Greg Myers, Jonathan Cuppett, David Poole, John Houston, and Marty Uren, all in what's that, a 6-7 way battle for that coveted P7 spot.
Boy, it sure is, and the battles continue all the way through the field, Ken. So we don't get a break yet.
Not yet, but boy, I got to tell you, I'm looking at John Wathen, looking outside and inside on Connor Swain. Connor Swain making that Ferrari F40 as wide as a tractor trailer.
Oh, he sure is, and John Wathen has been stuck behind Connor now for quite a while, so John is showing some great patience, along with some great pace as well, it has to be said, in that Aston Martin, as teammate Gregory Myers in that substitute role quickly latches on himself.
Great battle that's going on here. We're going to stick with it for a couple seconds here, see if anything changes. As they come up into the treacherous Moss corner once again, and this is where they kind of just bunch up right there.
Yeah, they sure do. Now, that F40 has some terrific speed, and I think that's really what's been holding John Wathen up here, is he's just not able to get a run coming down the Andretti straight. Now, he may have a look here.
Takes a peek on the inside, thinks better of it.
Boy, just such a difficult place to pass around here. Now, there's all kinds of opportunities, Ken, to pull the old dive bomb maneuver, as they say, but I think for now, everybody's still, it's early enough in this event. Nobody wants to take big risks here just yet, and I kind of like that. I think that's a good idea for these guys.
Yep, currently working lap 12. They've still got quite a ways to go. It's interesting to note, though, the track temperature has jumped up to 98 degrees, ambient of 78. So, wondering how their tire choices are going to play into this now that the temperature's starting to creep up.
Yeah, it's hard to say, Ken. Now, I will say, however, that David Poole has had an off, so not sure what happened there, but I saw him falling through the order. David Poole is off track, took a little damage, I think, on the arm crown, throws it off track again, so David Poole, who's slipped to 18, will give up yet a few more spots, and he has taken it back to the garage, Ken.
Yep, suffered a suspension loss. Yep, we just caught the tail end of that. That is unfortunate.
Very disappointing result for David Poole, so still remains second in the championship, but will that change with that retirement?
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. So, Aaron Parsons still on the hunt for Ryan Schleif now. I'm pretty sure Aaron Parsons finding it a little bit difficult as he's carrying around all that success ballast from previous rounds, and I believe that Ryan Schleif may have none. So I'd say advantage Ryan Schleif, but boy, he's got to keep it. He's got to keep it clean out there, because you don't want to make a mistake with Parsons right behind you.
You know, I have to say how impressed I am with Ryan Schleif here the last couple seasons. And he has just continued to improve and improve these skills, and has found himself very consistently fighting for some of these top 5 finishes here. And boy, that's saying something around this place, Ken. Ryan Schleif looking very racy here over the last couple seasons.
Yep, absolutely. Started 2 seasons ago at Spa, where he set the pole. And it looks like he never looked back since there. So, we have Dan Wilkerson joining us in the chat, saying a little birdie told him that Alex White might be putting on hard slicks when he pits. Going to be interesting. Oh, one of the Vipers with an off.
I believe that would be John Houston. I think John Houston is the only Viper out there tonight.
You got Marty Uren drive. Oh no, I'm sorry. Yep, you're right. John Houston is the only one running in P13. So it may have been or it may not have been a Viper that I saw go off track back there. It was way off in the distance. So I might be wrong, but he is locked in a very heated battle right now, running P13. He's in a Corvette Saline Sandwich right now. Marty, you running 14th, and Jonathan Cuppet just ahead of him in P12.
Yeah, what a battle these drivers continue to have, and you can't help but be impressed with all these guys. I mean, they are not driving slowly here. They are trying to get past the guy that's in front of them. So to drive on the limit with this type of concentration and still turn in these types of impressive lap times is quite a nice show.
Yeah, you're not kidding. The middle of the pack right now running in about the 113s from Connor Swain all the way back to Marty Uren right now, who's probably trailing. He's at the tail end of this train going around the track right now, so they're running it very tight.
Yeah, I did have somebody drop. Not sure what happened there, but I tell you something else now. Didn't have the opportunity to do a lot of recon for this circuit or get an idea of a lot of things, except that tire wear is going to be pretty big around here, Ken. I know that the left fronts on most of these guys' tires wear massively. So, and I'm wondering just how far we're going to see these lap times fall before they're going to have to be forced to come in and make those stops. And our temperature does continue to rise just a little bit now, 99 degrees on track.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's going to be interesting to know. And you know, speaking of how these drivers are driving around here tonight, I relate back to the mid-pack battle that's going on. These guys are, like you said, they're not driving slow. They're trying to keep it clean, but I'm sure that they're pushing one another just about to their limits, or as far as they dare. Still early on in the stint, so going to be interesting to see how this one shapes up in the end. And now Mike Graytrix actually making his way up into the tail end of that battle.
Yeah, so that mid-pack fight continues, and as I look through timing and scoring, I can see now Aaron Parsons has begun to latch onto Ryan Schleif's bumper. So Aaron Parsons, despite those 50 kilograms, looking very sharp here tonight, and in fact has gained a few seconds on Rich Roman.
Yep, we're on board right now with Aaron Parsons chasing down Ryan Schleif.
Now, it should be noted as well, actually, our third member, of course, our loyal audience, or your loyal audience, has actually mentioned Chris Moses. Now, Chris Moses does find himself in the 8th position, so, and showing a little bit of damage on that Panos as well. So Chris Moses making, obviously, some type of mistake out there and slipping back just a few spots.
Yep, he's got that right front bit smashed in. No doubt it's going to hurt his lap times just a little bit. So Matt Taylor up to 7th and Roman up to 6th. Aaron Parsons still running steady in 5th and trying to chase down Ryan Schleif. Just has not found a way around Mr. Schleif yet.
Yeah, taking a look at Mr. Parsons' lap times here, I mentioned the tire wear. Well, I don't know that he's suffering from too much of it because his times have been holding pretty rock solid there in the mid-12s. Just now turned at 13.4, but by and large, mid-12s all the way for Aaron Parsons.
And Schleif taking a little bit wide into the grass is going to give Parsons an opportunity to close that gap just a little bit.
Yeah, Ryan Schleif, definitely his tires have gone off, no question about it. I think he is suffering from a lot of front wear, which is causing some kind of snap oversteer as he tries to dive that nose in at the apex of the corner. So both Aaron Parsons and Rich Roman, I think, are going to have a look at Schleif before too long.
Yeah, no doubt. And boy, you talk about that that snap turn-in and how the cars react to that aggressive input. I certainly know what that's like, and it's not a lot of fun to drive a car around a track trying to maintain position with that type of car behavior when your tires are starting to wear on you. Oh, and it looks like Roman looking on the outside of Aaron Parsons. He's going to get the pass done.
Yeah, that was just pure Aston Martin power there against an underpowered Lister Storm with an extra 50 kilos on board. So nice pass, Rich Roman.
Looks like he had some really good pull on the back of Aaron Parsons and was able to get that pass done. So Parsons back to 6th, Taylor in 7th, and Chris Moses chugging along in 8th. I believe that now, as far as Chris Moses goes, it becomes a pit strategy issue for him in this race. Jack loves to call him the pit wizard. No doubt he's probably got to be doing some calculations in his mind as to how he can gain the most advantage with his pit stop. Try and gain some positions back.
Yeah, I would think so, Ken. And I tell you something about Chris Moses. Chris Moses tends to run stronger in the second stint of races. So Chris, a very good finisher, usually also a very good starter as well. So if anybody can gain that time back, it will be Chris Moses. Worth watching after our pit stop rotation for sure.
Absolutely. So we are back to that mid-pack battle, and you know what? They are just still Connor Swain, John Wathen, Greg Myers, John Houston, Jonathan Cuppett, Marty Uren, and now John Ludden, who does get by Johnny Lugnuts, Bjorn Heyman, and it looks like Mike Graytrix may have dropped out as well from this battle. He might be off the server. But now John Ludden with an opportunity here to perhaps start making up some ground.
Gregory Myers has taken it off with an accident from the 9th place. Now, that was in that mid-pack battle. John Houston had just gotten by, and Gregory Myers, I think, looking to try to get back by, threw it off track, and Gregory Myers out of this race, Ken.
Boy, we saw the smoke in the distance. Unfortunately, we did not get to catch that on the broadcast, but tough going for Greg Myers there. He was part of this battle and doing so well. So that now leaves John Wathen kind of out there alone to carry on the battle for the team.
Yeah, sure thing, Ken. That's right. And still, I cannot help it. As Jonathan Cuppett has a bit of a moment there. Loses a few spots, but you can't help but be impressed, continuing to be impressed with John Wathen's run here today.
No, John Wathen is doing absolutely fantastic. Oh, so I see what happened with Mike Graytrix. He lost his front clip, and it looks like he's got a punctured right front tire. Trying his best to make his way back to the pits, takes it up on the grass. So just trying to stay out of the way of traffic at this point for Mike Graytrix.
Oh, that is a massive wreck, and what a disappointment for Mike. Now, he was running right along with his teammate there in about the 14th position, Marty Uren. So they're about 14th or 15th. Mike Graytrix obviously going to make a stop for some lengthy repairs. Unfortunate.
John Ludden with the inside move on Jonathan Cuppett. Jonathan Cuppett taking it off the track. and finding the tire barriers. He's going to try and get it turned back around and back on track. But he is now dropping like a stone in a pond.
Yeah, sorry, Ken. I tell you, I think these guys are really starting to struggle with that tire wear now and the changing conditions and the car handling now. As all that's going on, it is Andres Prieto now in that third spot who has closed back the distance to Andrew Warner, and that is quickly becoming a fight for second place now.
Just jumped on board with Andres Prieto. We are looking ahead from the bumper cam to Andrew Werner, and no doubt I've got to think the same thing about Andrew Werner, as he's allowed Andres to close that gap so much that heavy Ford GT1 may be suffering just a little bit from some tire wear that's causing perhaps a little push or a little slide in the corners. But yeah, Andres closing that gap up really nicely.
Yeah, looking at those Andrew Werner's lap times, so they started off in the high 11s, but now running around the 12.5. So tire wear an issue, I think, for all these guys, and Andrew Werner being one.
Yep, no doubt. And boy, I got to tell you, Alex White out there all by himself. We haven't given him much love today. He's just kind of been putting on his own show. 16.5-second lead over second Andrew Werner.
Yeah. Sometimes, a guy gets lost in the shuffle when he's simply out in front and gaining some time and there's nobody around him. So sorry to Alex White on that. He is certainly deserving of that recognition, but it has finally come to pass, as it were, for John Wathen. John Wathen finally has gotten by Connor Swain, and so we do have a shakeup in that battle.
Very, very nice. Sorry that we missed that, folks. John Houston now also is going to be having a look on the inside of Connor Swain. Can't get it done this time around, but John Luden making his way up to 12th, even with all that damage in the front of his car. He's just laying down some quick laps right now, trying to gain an advantage in positions.
Oh, Ken, it is Matt Taylor now who has taken a DNF. Boy, these guys are dropping like flies. This is incredible. Now, Matt Taylor was running up there toward the top 10 himself and finds himself out with a crash. Suddenly down to 17 drivers out there, Ken.
Yeah, you know what, Brad, you called it in the beginning. We were certainly going to see some attrition in this race. I didn't think it was going to be quite so much, but you called it.
Yeah, and again, this is the first time for the GT1 guys racing here, and so perhaps not quite schooled on how these setups are going to work over the course of a whole stint. But I tell you, Ken, boy, sometimes you just have to take your medicine. If the car's going off, well, you just have to slow down.
That's it. Slow down. Sometimes slower is faster, and consistency, which is something that you advocate on us all the time, Brad. Consistency.
Yeah, and a big part of consistency is knowing when you have to change your expectations of what your consistency is. So, if you have an alien race car, maybe you have some weight that's changing the handling characteristics and piling up that tire wear. Well, sometimes you just have to adjust your expectations of the kind of lap times you can turn. I think a few guys weren't willing to do that here tonight.
Yeah, that's pretty apparent, Brad, I have to say. So just quickly, just jumped up. Aaron Parsons down to 6th. Rich Roman by him, and Ryan Schleif still up in 4th. But there's a battle now brewing. Aaron Parsons now trying to look around Rich Roman, get that position back, perhaps before the pit rotation starts setting in.
Yeah, that's really when you want to try to gain an advantage on the guy. Try to get ahead of him just before that pit stop. And you know what? We're going to be coming up on those before too long, Ken. I tell you, I think these drivers are going to be grateful to get the opportunity to get some fresh rubber.
Yeah, no doubt. And you know what? With the track temperature up at 100 and the ambient at 80, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some change from the compounds most of these guys might be currently running right now.
Yeah, good point, Ken.
So, yep, 17 running. Mike Trussler takes a DNF. I believe that you had pointed that out. Alex White up front with a commanding 16-second lead over Andrew Werner. Andres Prieto about 2 seconds back from that. But that battle between Schleif, Roman, and Parsons wages on as they are currently working lap number 25.
Yeah, and kind of interesting, you know, Ryan Schleif has certainly put himself in those top 5 positions, but doesn't quite have the experience of Aaron Parsons, who has as much as you can possibly get, really, and of course Rich Roman, a former championship winner himself. So these guys, you'd have to think, would have an advantage in the pit stops and when they elect to come in and how they go about their strategy here to try to gain an advantage over Ryan Schleif. So he's going to have to stay on his toes here.
Absolutely, no doubt. And you know what? We saw that when in Ryan Schleif's breakthrough season 2 seasons ago, where he did take the pole at Spa and he maintained his position during the first stint, but after the pits, it just kind of all fell apart. So that's where the experience comes in, and that's where Roman and Parsons do have that advantage.
Now, I know you have some great action that you're keeping your eyeball on, Kim, but I'm watching one heat up here between Johnny Lugnutz and Bjorn Hemmen. So Bjorn now in the 14th spot, but, oh, I'm sorry, it is, yes, Lugnutz and Hemmen. So it is Lugnutz in the 13th spot and Bjorn trying to make the pass.
Yep, and it looks like Bjorn able to keep a little bit more of a tighter line, but Lugnutz with the speed in that older Corvette.
So the Corvette's really going to be suffering from front tire wear here, and Bjorn's McLaren is going to be having rear tire issues.
No doubt, and boy, Bjorn just sticking to the back of Johnny Lugnutz like Velcro right now, just trying to match his pace and keep him at an arm's distance, not too far behind them. Jonathan Cuppet trying to make some inroads.
Yeah, and these guys really not turning too bad of lap times themselves, still in the 13s, but well and truly now off the pace of the leader, Alex White.
Alex White slowing down just a little bit now. He's done some 112s, dipped back down into the 111s, but he's back up in the 112s now, so no doubt that that tire wear is starting to become a factor, even for Alex White.
Sure, I would think so, Ken. So, let's see, scheduled for 64 laps. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to get there. You may know, but we're working lap 28 as we speak. So here in another 4 or 5 laps will be halfway, Ken. I think we're going to see a flurry of activity.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that, like you said, within the next 4 to 5 laps, we're going to start seeing a bunch of guys dive into the pits now. Not exactly sure how many pit boxes there are. Oh, and the first one's in is Ryan Schleif. Not exactly sure how many pit boxes there are. I can only hope that they're sufficient for everybody, where everybody can get a light. And we can maintain this level of close racing here tonight at Mosport.
So this is an interesting move here by Ryan Schleif. So it was not Aaron Parsons or Rich Roman who tried to get in on some fresh rubber, get out and turn some fast times. It is Ryan Schleif who may have turned the tables on the veteran here, Ken. He may have an advantage, gain a little bit of time coming out of the pits.
Yep, and you know, we've seen that strategy before. An earlier pit, perhaps 2-3 laps before your opponents, get into the pits and use that time to just kind of lay them down really fast, real hot laps. But yeah, again, with the temperatures, you got to be careful though, because your opponents do come out on fresher rubber than you by a couple laps, and that might play an important role at the end of the race.
Yeah, always a consideration. But you know what, Ken? If you're in front of the guy behind you, then as John Luden has put it off again. So John Luden continuing to have some struggles coming off that mouse corner there. I'm watching that battle as it continues. But, yeah, you're absolutely right. If you can be out in front those last couple 3 laps, it is an advantage.
So Marty Uren with a near pass on Connor Swain for that P8 right now. Marty Uren all up on the bumper of Connor Swain. And a bit of a slide there, so can't help it. That Saleen's rear tires are starting to give way just a little bit.
Just kind of taking a look here through some of the field and Alex White's lap-to-lap time. So those have dropped off a little bit now, running about 12.4s. I've been keeping an eye to the gap to Andrew Warner. Now that gap is about 17.5 seconds, but you know, it has not dropped significantly here toward the end of this stint from Alex White to Andrew Werner. So Andrew Werner putting in some pretty good laps at the moment.
So John Wathen actually getting by up to P7. Was able to get by Connor Swain, and now he's kind of running out there all by himself. Chris Moses up to 6, and Chris Moses is now going to bring it into the pits. Oh, and he finds the wall on the left front. Came in just a little hot there.
Yeah, well, you talked about it, Ken, and you were spot on with it, that's for sure. Very strange for a veteran like Chris Moses to run afoul of that kind of trouble. It can happen to anybody.
Yeah, that it can. I've had my share, Brad. I've had my share. So Rich Roman also in the pits. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say the very same thing. It's happened to me too.
Yeah. So Parsons and no, I thought that was Schleif right behind them, but apparently not. John Wathen up in the 5th spot right now as some of the front runner drivers are going through their pit rotations. So you got Andres Prieto in the pits, Alex White also in the pits, Andrew Werner staying out there to lead a lap.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. This is going to tell a big part of the Mosport tale here as these pit stops do cycle through. It looks like John Luden is down and away. Boy.
Oh, you got 3 coming down pit road, very close together, as Alex White tries to navigate his way through some of the cars that were coming in. And Alex White is away. Looks like gonna come out in P7. So now that battle that you were talking about a little earlier, Brad, between Lugnuts and Hemmen becomes for P5 momentarily, as these folks have not cycled through their pit rotation as yet.
Yeah, and definitely a tip of the hat to these two drivers as well, Bjorn and
Werner in P1 finds the barrier at about 110 miles an hour. It's not going to be good for that Ford GT.
And he may have a... Does he have a puncture? No.
I am not sure.
Yes.
Yes, he does. He parks it.
Oh! Boy, wow.
Oh, that is heartbreaking. That is heartbreaking. He was running such a good race.
You know, Ken, it's so hard, but let's see. Did Werner had yet to make a stop? You know, I tell you, I think if I'm Werner, I know it's such a disappointment in second place, but there's so many drivers dropping out here, Ken. I go ahead and I strap on another fresh set of tires and I soldier on out there.
Yeah, that's it. You know, because, well, I gotta tell you, I'd rather make that pit stop when the pit stop is due, not push it way too far, because, you know, you start getting involved with strategies that might just not work and your car starts suffering from performance out there. You know what? Bring it on in, get some fresh shoes put on there, and reevaluate your strategy for the second stint.
Yeah, boy, a tough break there for sure. Now, that second off that he had into the grass, that may have put the car out of its misery, I don't know, but if it seen him stuck it out, I know it's so disappointing to make that type of mistake. We've all done it before, and that's the first inclination for sure, is to pull the parachute and jump out of the plane.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Hate
So
to see it.
P2 John Wathen in the pits. Aaron Parsons in the pits also. Oh, and Parsons just going up on the jacks now. And Alex White takes back over the lead as he comes around the start-finish line. And he's on fresh rubber, so no doubt he's going to be looking to check out now for the remainder of this race. And Andres Preto, who also has gone through his pit, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, one of the Corvettes is off on the far end there. Yep, and it looks like Cuppet finding the barrier just a little bit. Ryan Schleif in P16. Trussler is parked. So Andres Preto having gone through his pit stop.
Yeah, I think our remaining pilots have all come in for their pit stops now. Andres Preto actually has gained a little bit of time on Alex White. Now, it's not too much, just a couple seconds maybe, but I tell you, another guy very strong in the second part of these races, Andres Preto, always continues to gain time, and I don't know if he's going to have anything for Alex White here, but certainly in position to take the win if something should happen to Alex.
Yep, and boy, it looks like Ryan Schleif has had some sort of an off. He had a 2:10 on his pit lap, and then just two laps after that, suffered a lap time of 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
Oh, boy.
And that has put him 2 laps down. Oh, that is just... again, you said it, the experience, and that things like that do come with experience.
Well, it's hard to say what may have happened. It could have been lap traffic or what have you, but very unfortunate for Ryan Schleif. Oh boy, running so well here tonight. And you know what? Can't take that away from him. So yeah, at least he's got that.
Nope, you're absolutely right. Thomas Schubeck in the pits. Well, he held out for quite a bit there.
Yeah, he did, and it's hard to say if this is going to hurt him or not. Now, he was running well and truly back down the order, but he, as you say, he will have that fresher rubber here toward the end of this event. I think Thomas Schubeck has the opportunity to pick up some spots now. Already there are going to be some big gaps opened up with the amount of retirements that we've had here. He is going to be on a lap, including about another 5 drivers 1 lap down, but I suspect Thomas may be able to make some progression yet through the field a little bit.
Well, there's still a lot of racing left to go. He is 1 lap down, but still, like you said, with an opportunity to pick up laps. One battle that's forming up yet again. It looks like they just picked up from where they left off before the pit rotations. John Wathen running in P7, being chased by Connor Swain and Marty Uren.
Sure, and the ever-present John Luden hasn't gone anywhere either, Ken, so he's repaired that McLaren. He's going to be very fast here, I tell you. He's going to put a lot of pressure on these guys shortly.
Yep. Actually, I'm on board with Luden. Doesn't look like he went for the aero damage repair. Looks like he went for a quick pit stop, figuring he might be able to keep up with some of the faster guys with some fresh rubber. So a bit of an off strategy there for Luden, but if he can make it work, then more power to him.
You know what, Ken? On my monitor, it looks like his damage has been repaired, so...
Oh, then it might be a me thing.
Yeah, and that actually may fix itself after a couple laps. That may show up for you.
Yep, gotcha. But no doubt, Marty Uren looking on the inside of Connor Swain makes that pass. They touch slightly, but Connor Swain able to keep it on track right next to Marty Uren.
And Connor is going to give up a position there. He may give up a position to Luden too, but it's still one hell of a run for Connor Swain. Still up in the top 10 after that massive pressure early, so big tip of the hat to Connor.
Yeah, no doubt. Boy, and he ran up there for so long with a lot of these guys behind him. I got to give credit where credit is due, but now he is under immense pressure by John Luden driving that McLaren F1. Connor just trying to keep a clean line around the track right now, not make any mistakes and succumb to the pressure of having a veteran like John Luden on your tail.
So this is actually going to be kind of interesting here, Ken. We have had quite a few retirements, yes. However, there is still a points battle going on here in this team classification. So actually, Rich Roman and Thomas Schubeck for Panzerfaust Racing have the chance to advance their position. Oh, Thomas Schubeck almost throws it off in the last corner. Actually have a chance to improve their position. So it is Rich Roman who has actually jumped Aaron Parsons, or no, he was ahead of Aaron Parsons, but due to Ryan Schleifander problem, Rich Roman now runs third, and Thomas Schubeck is in 15th in the points. So both those drivers could collect points. Now, of our championship contenders, they would be the only two drivers that collected points, both cars, for their team in that toward that championship.
Very, very interesting. And I'd be interested to know how that's going to shake things up for that team championship. And we'll certainly have to wait till after this round is completed and the points are updated. But very interesting note there. Due to attrition, can the team championship be in jeopardy?
Well, it's certainly an opportunity for some teams to advance. Another guy that is involved in the thick of this fight is John Wathan. Now, John Wathan, he has made his share of mistakes over the course of the season, but he now finds himself in the 6th position, so he's collecting actually quite a few team points, even though we did see fill-in teammate Gregory Myers go out a little earlier. So John Wathan putting that Aston Martin to very good use. Ooh, and actually he's popped up 7th now. I think my timing and scoring is a little glitch, so it's John Wathan in 7th.
Yep, he is in 7th right now, running as strong as he possibly can. He's got Marty Uren right behind him. Marty Uren making quick inroads to John Wathan's position. Looks like Marty Uren's going to be looking to challenge for that P7 spot.
Yeah, I tell you, I just flipped back to check in on the battle between Connor Swain and John Luden, and you know what? John Luden is no longer there. So, and he has come up with some more damage to the front of that McLaren F1.
That he did, and I believe that Luden may have gone a lap down. Yes, he did. So Connor Swain currently running on the lead lap, and it looks like Luden may have went down 1 lap.
Yeah, interesting. I wonder if he was trying to let Alex White through and maybe had a little problem, threw it off track or something. But in any event, he's going to have to make up that ground that he lost it. And Connor Swain continues to survive, Ken.
Yep, that he does. Marty Uren does get by him. And still chasing down John Wathan in P7. So John Wathan, no doubt, got to be glancing up at that rearview mirror stating, you know, stay back there, I want no part of you.
Yeah, well, I think that he's doing as much as he possibly can, because John Wathan's times actually have increased dramatically over any other point in the race. So all in the mid-12s here for John Wathan. Of course, he was involved in that heated battle we saw earlier, but once free of it, he has shown some very good times now. Don't know if it's going to be enough to hold off Marty Yu, but he's going to give it his best shot.
Gup Douglas, we haven't spoken much about Gup except for when he was in the battle a little earlier with that Corvette, but he's currently running in P13 now. Gup's teammate, no, it's not his teammate. Whose teammate? Sam Rolfe's teammate, who I've not seen, John Sportelli, for a while. We've been making some requests for him to return. If he's been watching, we don't know, but I'd like to see him come back.
Yeah, it has been a little lonely without John Sportelli, of course, a former GT1 champion himself, so always in the mix and in contention for wins around this place. Be nice to see John back soon.
Absolutely. So, a raging battle between Marty Uren and John Wathan. John Wathan doing all he can to keep it consistent and clean, having Marty Uren's work cut out for him, because John Wathan's just running fast, clean laps.
Yeah, and obviously you can see now they have reeled in John Houston. So both of them turning better lap times at the moment than John. Now I wonder if John isn't trying to save a little bit of that car here for the end of this race, because that Viper will be pretty bad on those front tires.
Yep, you made the same observation I was just about to make. So there, the battle between John Wathan and Marty Uren, giving them some inroads to John Houston's position. No doubt John Houston's got to know that they're back there, but perhaps hoping that their battle will keep them behind them.
Well, it looks like Jonathan Cuppet has stopped again here, so I have to assume that that was for repairs, but Jonathan Cuppet will join the last remaining cars running here in 16th.
Yep, Jonathan Cuppet had an off maybe about a half a lap back where he found the tire barrier yet again. I thought it was deja vu when my camera kind of fixed itself on him, and like, well, I thought we had been there before, but it looked like it happened again. So, gonna give a little love to Mr. Alex White. Even he's got a 23-second commanding lead right now as he continues to just put cars laps down and driving that Lamborghini Diablo.
Well, Ken, that gap has just gone up because about 2 seconds before you said anything, Andres Prieto is only about 16 seconds off of Alex White, so he has run into some trouble and run into the Armco as well, I think. And you know what? Rich Roman is not so far behind here. If Andres starts really throwing it off track, Rich Roman will have a go at him.
Yep, we just saw Rich Roman about one corner back from Andres Prieto's position, so could it be a case that Andres is starting to push a little too hard? Don't want to do it too early in the second stint because your tires.
That's exactly what it was, Ken. Now, that gap was starting to open just slightly to Alex White, and I think Andres Prieto was trying to put on some speed. But, boy, I don't think Alex White was having any of it. But, whoa, Andres pushing very hard coming off the last corner.
Yep.
But, again, Rich Roman, now only about 5 seconds back, Ken.
And I've mentioned it before. We've seen this before where Andres Prieto gets into a mode of playing catch-up and starts overdriving the car, making some really critical mistakes that cost him some time. And certainly the only advice we can give him is, settle in, put your head down, keep your pedal down, and drive clean laps.
Yeah, absolutely right. And meanwhile, it is Marty Uren now who has gotten back up on Connor Swain, or John Wathan, excuse me. I'm sorry, confusing myself here. So that battle, so that battle continues, but Marty Uren has clawed back a little bit of time that he lost.
Boy, there are times that I just sit here, Brad, and think to myself, what could these drivers be thinking when they are in the heat of battle like that? And you're ahead of a veteran like Marty Uren, and you're able to keep him back. What's the thought process that might be going through your mind? I have no idea.
Well, I tell you, John Houston is plenty veteran himself as well. Now, John Houston actually this season has found himself in contention for some of these top fives, but it has been a few seasons where John has not put in those types of, as we see Marty Uren now going for that pass.
Yep, we caught that on the broadcast. It was a textbook pass, looked to the inside, and got her done.
Yeah, and I think that answers your point right there, Ken. I think that John did understand that Marty Uren had pretty good pace on him, and I think his mindset was, you know what, I think I'm going to try to consolidate 8th place here, and I think that's a good move.
Yeah, I have to agree. You don't want to hold up a driver that's got pace on you, gets them anxious, and anything, just about anything can happen. And this late in the race would be an absolute shame. But now Marty Uren with his sights set on John Houston, no doubt.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if this pass is going to be quite as easy now. John Houston should have the saline covered here on this back straight. Won't be as good through the corners. Now, just how I can tell you, John Wathan, or I'm getting confused. John Houston is not going to be as forgiving, I don't think, as John Wathan was. So Marty Uren, I think, is going to have to put in a little bit more work here.
Yep, quite possibly. I remember John Houston speaking some weeks ago, perhaps last season, about his overcoming his tendency to be just a little bit passive on the track, and he's certainly shown that here this season because his typical running order, his typical running positions have improved dramatically.
You know, they have, and it's really good to see. Now, this is not only in the GT1 class, but the GT2 class as well. And John Houston has not been a full-time regular here in GT1 this season. He has put in a fine effort and, in fact, embroiled in that team battle there in the GT2 class. But it'd sure be nice to see John Houston around a bit more in this GT1 class because he obviously has got the skills.
Yep, he certainly does, and we see another Corvette taking it off the track there as we stay on board with Marty Uren and John Houston's battle.
Yeah, and a very good battle it is. Now, not involved in a battle is Johnny Lugnuts, but I got to give honorable mention to Johnny Lugnuts as well. So, 11th for Johnny Lugnuts. And you know, it's been a while since Johnny's been fighting for top 10s himself here. And so, very nice drive continues for Johnny Lugnut.
Oh, Houston with a slide. He's going to give up P7.
Oh.
Succumbed to the pressures. Alex White goes around him to put him a lap down.
Yeah, and I think that was a bit of mirror driving. Now, John Houston has been on his own quite a bit here in the second stint. Hadn't been horribly pressured, and I think that that kind of change in attitude and thinking a little bit more there did kind of help precipitate that.
I can't help to think that you're right there, but yeah, Marty Uren putting all sorts of pressure on him there for several laps, and I guess John with that slide, and it was coming off the last corner too, caught a little bit of the curb, just enough to upset the balance of that Dodge Viper. So Chris Mose is out there all by himself, P5 as he comes around the start-finish line. Aaron Parsons still running in fourth, nearly takes it off track. Boy, I tell you, these guys are cutting it close with the outside margin of the track there.
Yeah, seeing that from everybody, and that's obviously what's catching these guys out. And to be fast, you do have to run those lines, particularly coming off turn one. So these GT1 cars proving to be a handful as Ryan Schleif is back into the pits again. So Ryan Schleif's troubles continues. But you know what, Ken? He's in the points. He's going to be scoring a championship point if he just keeps it. If he keeps coming in and getting repaired.
That's it. That's it. And you know what? Points are valuable around this league. So, right now, the only close battle on the track is between, let's see, is it Marty Uren? No, it's not actually. I thought Marty Uren may be chasing down that Aston, but he might be actually looking to put it a lap down. And there are no really... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to just say, Ken, really the close one we have is Connor Swain and John Luden. As John Luden continues to try to reel Connor Swain in, that battle is about 4 seconds apart at the moment, so it's interesting. We assume John Luden has lots and lots of speed on Connor Swain, but just has not been able to kind of find a good rhythm here in this second stint to really close that gap down.
Yep, no doubt. And, you know, looking at John, I'm actually on board with John Wath, and just looking at his times here in this this second stint, he was running the 113s in the first stint. Whatever changes he made going into the pits, he's now running mid 112s, mid 112s to 112.7s.
You know, Ken, I really think that he had the speed all along. It's just that he was in the fight early there behind Connor Swain and couldn't get some free track. So I really think that's what was holding him back there in that first stint.
Rich Roman closing down his lead to Andres Preto by down to about 6 seconds.
Yeah, that gap has stayed pretty stable since Andres Prieto ran into whatever type of trouble he ran into, but you know, since then, Alex White has continued to gain ground on Andres Prieto, so Andres Prieto looking very dismal here if he wants to try to collect that win. It's going to take a big Alex White mistake at this point.
Yep, no doubt. And so Andres Prieto looks like he's coming up on Bjorn Heyman, trying to get around him, and he finally gets around him. He's got some clear track out in front of him now. But Alex White just putting on the proverbial driving clinic here tonight.
Well, he sure is. Now, one good thing about that Lamborghini Diablo is it does have the Pirelli shod tires on it. Now, that's going to be beneficial because of the temperature out there. So those Pirellis will work a little bit better in the hotter temperatures. The grip level will remain a little bit higher.
Yep, and we haven't seen a drastic change in track temperature. We were at 99 just before the pit rotations, and it's increased slightly to 101 degrees. Still, it's an increase and does have its effect on these tires and the cars and how they drive.
So, we do have a battle brewing now over that 9th spot. Once again, Connor Swain and John Luden. John Luden's going to give it another shot here, and we'll see if he can manage to at least stay close for a while this time.
Yep, we just jumped on board with Luden. We are in the chase cam, so we can get a good idea of just how this battle is going to shape up. Luden also perhaps falling victim to a little bit of overdriving the car, trying to get around Connor Swain. Looks like he's trying to stay in his draft right now. As they come into Moss corner. Oh, has to check up on the brakes there.
Yeah, certainly don't want to interrupt that battle, but I tell you, I think John Luden does have a bit of an excuse here. His setup does look pretty aggressive, but that McLaren F1 on the Michelin tires is really going to struggle with rear-end grip around this place, particularly with the temperature, because those rear tires will get really hot and lose grip very easily.
Yep, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, but isn't that the typical behavior of the mid-engine cars on these small tracks where we see high temperatures?
In general, yes. The McLaren will suffer a bit more than nearly every other one, however.
Gotcha.
The real problem is that it breaks aero diffuser downforce pretty easily, so coming over the bumps, it doesn't like the airflow to be disturbed on the underneath of the car, so it makes it pretty tricky there through those aero downforce sections.
Yeah, makes sense. So, yeah, these two are going at it tooth and nail right now. Connor Swain just looks like he's taking the safe and the protecting line around the track. Yeah, oh, they touch. John Luden getting into the back of Connor Swain, but does not upset the car of Connor Swain too much. Gives him a little love dent in the back of the Ferrari F40.
Well, as you watch that battle, Ken, I can give you an update on another one. It is Bjorn Heyman now who is closing the gap a bit to Johnny Lugnut. So I think in another couple laps, that battle will be joined over the 11th position.
Boy, if I didn't know any better, you'd think that the car of John Luden just had a tow rope tied to the back of Connor Swain, how close these guys are just driving with each other.
Yeah, well, John making the amount of mistakes that he has, I think that he has definitely learned from them and will exercise just as much patience as he needs to. He knows he's quite a bit faster, so he just needs to find a nice solid opportunity, and he will be on down the road.
Connor Swain, phenomenal job. Hard to break away from this battle. We don't want to... oh! John Luden with a bit of a lurch there. Gives a little bit of breathing room to Connor Swain.
Well, I don't think you have to worry about switching off of it too much now. Not too far behind those guys, 11th and 12th, Johnny Lugnutz and Bjorn Himmen, as mentioned, are continuing to battle. I think they may actually be gaining a little bit of ground. That gap is certainly very stable between the Swain-Luden battle, but they're just about 4 or 5 seconds off of that battle for 9th.
Two of the more vintage cars that we drive around here, the C5R and the McLaren F1, doing some great battle out here on track.
Yeah, and this is where it starts becoming pretty tense. So our race laps are winding down here. The heat is still up. The tires are starting to cry a little bit, Ken, and boy, when you really want to be on the limit, you know, everything's going kind of against you. So
Luden down the outside almost takes the position away from Connor Swain, but he gets squirrely and gives it right back.
Yeah, boy, case in point. I mean, that's where you'd like to take a little bit of a risk there, try to go around on the outside, but you know the smallest, tiniest bobble is going to put you right back into that Armco.
And he's going to give it another go this lap around. John Luden, I don't know if he's going to try it on the outside this time. Maybe try and force Connor to the outside. But boy, he nearly made that stick. And Connor's car just slid sufficiently enough that they touched and it threw Luden just that far off. He had to back out of it.
Now, don't feel the need to switch off the battle, but Rich Roman has picked up a few more seconds here. Don't know what happened, but that gap is now about 3 seconds from Rich Roman to Andres Prieto. They're in that second spot. Now, they're in a bit of lap traffic as well, so
we'll have
to keep an eye on that.
Luden trying to get on the inside. It's not going to get it done. Connor Swain just not giving an inch to John. And he is just making him work for every second he can gain on him. Luden's car just a little bit squirrely up front. It's got a little bit of aero damage from having gotten into the back of Connor Swain a couple laps before, just as they came, and he gets into the back of him again. Boy, oh boy, maybe I should just not say anything. Broadcaster's curse.
Yeah, that's a very tough place to judge the breaking point. Of course, it's so bumpy through there as well that the car can easily kind of skip over those bumps and catch a guy out.
On board with Luden right now as they come through turn 1. Fast sweeper to the right. This is where John Luden now in turn 2 has been trying to make his moves.
Yeah, I think Connor is defending pretty stoutly here, and John Luden is becoming just a tiny bit impatient.
Yeah, looks like Luden may have the advantage going through Moss Corner, taking a bit of a better and a faster line than Connor Swain. Connor Swain trying to defend his position, taking the inside line and slowing up sufficiently enough that Luden nearly gets into the back of him each and every time, and Luden looking on the outside inside, trying to make it stick.
So that gap between second and third well and truly is coming down now. That gap is about 1.5 seconds.
Oh boy. Connor Swain had an off.
Oh,
Gives a position over to Luden.
well, looks like Connor finally succumbed to the pressure, but still, it was an amazing display of driving there for both those guys. I tell you, Connor's not out of the woods, as that battle over 11th now is going to come up on him.
Yeah, you're not kidding. And boy, we just jumped on board with Rich Roman, and we clearly see the inroads he has made to Andres Preto. So just wondering if within the next few laps here we might see a battle for that P2 as Roman has to check up coming out of Moss.
You know, Rich was gaining, but I think it was that Connor Swain battle that you were on, which really held Andres up a little bit as they were trying to make their way through that battle, which really allowed Rich to get up there. But Rich was making some time up on Andres anyway. So that battle has become joined, and now that 11th place battle is as heated as ever, as Bjorn Hemmen now is right on the back of Johnny Lugnuts over that 11th spot.
Yep, we just caught up with that battle now, and as they come through turn 1, looks like they got one of the Corvettes driving really fast behind them, but it looks like that Corvette is a lap down. Bjorn with a little bit of an over-under attempt there. It's not going to make it happen. Close battle.
Yeah, that is certainly the best one on track out there. Rich Roman still about 2 seconds off of Andres Preto. That gap has remained stable here over the last 4 or 5 laps. I do think Rich does have a bit of speed in hand on Andres, however. Again, Rich on those Pirellis, so those Pirellis perhaps maintaining a bit better grip curve than the Michelin sailing.
Yep, no doubt. And boy, you know, just happened to come across Chris Moses, who is out there all by himself in P5, just running as quick and clean a race as he possibly can, trying to hold on to valuable team points for PMR Racing. Oh, and it looks like Andres, Aaron Parsons now coming up on that battle between Hemmen and Lugnuts.
Boy, it's so hard to let that faster guy through when you're involved in those types of direct fights, but you know, generally it all works out just fine. Once old Johnny Lugnuts gets Aaron by, that you'll see that battle come right back together.
Yep, no doubt. And boy, I gotta tell you, I've experienced that myself, where I'm in a heated battle. It doesn't matter whether you're battling for first or 20th. You're in a battle for position, and it is just the same. And you know, leaders are coming by and get by the driver that's chasing you, and you're like, great, that's great. You know, you get that little bit of a reprieve, and the leader gets by you, and then the battle is right back on, and you're under all sorts of immense pressure.
I always try to make a little game of it, Ken. I try to get the leader through, you know, faster than the guy I'm in a fight with. And so I kind of try to still race the guy kind of in a different way, you know.
Yep, no doubt. I tell you, you can use the leaders passing you to an advantage, as well as when you're hot and you're leading the race. You can use lap traffic to your advantage if in a heated battle for the first position as well, or any position for that matter. But Rich Roman, now we just jumped on board. We're on his bonnet cam. Gonna go look back at the timing and scoring. So about 2.5 seconds back now from Andres Preto.
Yeah, they are occasionally in the same shot on your broadcast pictures, so that battle obviously very close, and Rich is not going anywhere. I think Andres is kind of in damage control at this moment. I don't think Andres can really put too much more into that saline and expect to keep it on track, so I think it's kind of damage limitation. It looks like we're running about 10 more laps to go here at most, Ken, so they are definitely winding down quickly.
Yep, and you know what? The temperatures have stayed up there, so no doubt that the tires are wearing. And when you've got these close battles, you're trying to drive as quickly as you can and maintain that position. It's a fine balancing act on the part of these drivers to not overcook their tires going into or coming out of a corner, trying to defend position.
Yeah, well, we've talked about experience. We see it all the time from guys generally in the top 5, and once again, there are no two more experienced than those two out there. And Alex White has crossed the line for the win, so this race is going to come up a little short, Ken.
Oh boy! So we finished on time then, no doubt. Yeah. Look at that. On board with Andres Preto right now. Roman pushing in as hard as he possibly can for the last corner.
Boy, if Rich had those other couple 3-4 laps, he would have had a real shot.
Yep, you're not kidding, boy, because he was closing it in mighty quick. So, Wathen has crossed the line and finished in P7. Marty Urent's still out there. Chris Moses will finish in 5th. Aaron Parsons in 4th. Roman has finished in 3rd. And we got folks dropping now, so it looks like that's going to be it, Brad, here from Mosport. Alex White, your winner, is going to take it in commanding style.
Yeah, an exciting run and a lot of news and notes, a lot of takeaways from this race, really. One of them being attrition, the second one being that we still had quite a points fight there in the team classification. Drive of the night for me has to go to John Wathen. So, of course, Alex White put in an amazing display, of course, on track. John Wathen really doing a fantastic job being held up for so many laps and then getting by and putting his head down. So, great run for him. He ended up in 7th position.
Yeah, certainly a great race for those that did get to finish this race here tonight. We lost about nearly half the field to attrition, and again, no doubt a difficult track to make a race with. And like you stated, this was the first time that these GT1 cars did run here, but great race nonetheless. Big congratulations to Alex White and all the finishers here tonight at Mosport.
Yep.
So that's going to be all for tonight. For Brad Maris, I am Ken Rodriguez. We want to thank those that did join us. We did reach the double digits tonight, by the way, Brad. In our viewership, I think we went as high as 14, so that's quite unusual for Thursday nights. But we appreciate the viewership, and we appreciate you guys joining us out here tonight. And we'll see you again next week.